On this week's program, we talk with Jesse McCurry, Kansas grain sorghum. We also have features from the Kansas Soybean Commission and Kansas Department of Agriculture, and plus some weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association and some market information from Pinion, a division of Coe Isom. I'm Ken Rahjes. This is Authentic Ag. Brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on three main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
And agricultural news from agview.net. A new report finds the market facilitation program created deep regional inequities, favored certain crops over others, and funneled money to large ag operations over smaller farms. Senator Debbie Stabenow, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Ag Committee, said the report is a result of a government accountability investigation. She requested that investigation all the way back in February of this year. Says the administration needs to stop playing favorites and start helping the farms that are hit the hardest. That report found that southern farmers benefited significantly compared to other regions of the U.S., and 8 of the top 9 states with the highest payments per acre were in the South. The report also says that instead of providing more support to the 9,852 largest farms, USDA could have targeted funding to the thousands of small and beginning farmers that are often more vulnerable to market swings. The Mid-America CropLife Association has honored an academic leader at its recent virtual annual meeting. The award is presented to an individual who has demonstrated significant contributions to American agriculture, especially in the MACA region. Also, the person has to have demonstrated evidence of consistency in educating the public on the value of production agriculture. Dr. Rice, a university distinguished professor, he holds the Vanier University Professorship at Kansas State. He is a professor of soil microbiology in the Department of Agronomy. He is also a past Nobel Peace Prize winner for his work with the UN Intergovernmental Panel on climate change back in 2007. He, as many of us know, a relentless advocate for conservation agriculture and is one of the most influential speakers in the U.S. on soil health and conservation practices for production ag. Congratulations, Dr. Rice. Well, for the first time in Gallup's 20 years of tracking America's views on various business and industry sectors, farming and agriculture is now the clear leader. The former top-ranking industries, restaurants and computers, remaining still in the top 4, the grocery industry rounding out that group. Now, meanwhile, pharmaceutical industry's image has improved a little bit since last year and has yielded the worst-rated distinction back to the folks in the federal government. This year's rankings reflect significant changes in the ratings of 6 industries, 3 of which are delivering some vital goods and services to America during the pandemic. These 3 include healthcare, farming, and pharmaceuticals. They are all rated more positively than they were in 2019. And the biofuel industry welcoming the Environmental Protection Agency's decision to reject those so-called gap year exemptions from the nation's biofuel laws. In total, the agency received 68 retroactive exemption requests from petroleum refiners seeking to maybe skirt some obligations under the renewable fuel standard, and the move denies the majority of those pending requests. In the announcement, EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler said this decision follows President Trump's promise to promote domestic biofuel production. Meanwhile, the president also recently announced the executive order to allow E15 to be used in any pump approved for E10, that is the national standard, and that move should allow more expansion in the E15 market. More on these and other stories at agview.net. Stay with us. More coming up.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
Highways 40, 83, and I-70 come together right here in Oakley. Roads that lead to businesses, to magnificent rock formations, to scenic vistas, to places where legends were made. Roads that lead us home. Discover Oakley, the gateway to western Kansas.
And joining us is Jesse McCurry, who is Executive Director of Kansas Sorghum. Jesse, always great to talk with you.
It's good to see you, Ken. How you doing?
Doing quite well as we're getting underway, which is always my favorite time of the year, and that is harvest season. And we want to talk about the numbers that came out that showed acres are up for sorghum in Kansas, and as folks have been able to now get out and drive around a little bit, the sorghum looks very good all over the state.
It is a bright spot, and I've been doing that myself just to confirm that. I've heard it a lot, and I see it myself, and boy, we are up at least 6% from last year in terms of acres and potential production. But depending on the conditions, we may or may not make a state record, but we're getting up there. Currently this week, where the yield is forecast at 85 bushels per acre, unchanged from last year. It'll be interesting to see how it finishes. We finally got some timely rains, and like you said, things out there look pretty good.
And we need that, Jesse, because seemingly every week we're back in that stage of good reports of export sales. China and other countries really want U.S. sorghum, and in turn, they want Kansas sorghum.
There's no question about it. It's been a great bright spot in agriculture, the fact that we've seen consistent export numbers for sorghum internationally, particularly in China. I've heard different versions from 70% of the entire crop is going to China or exports or other things, and that's great. I mean, that's being reflected in local demand and basis, and I expect that might continue.
Recently, there was a story of the Galveston port kind of getting underway, and another at least avenue that could pay benefits back to Kansas sorghum producers to have another loadout facility.
Infrastructure is proving to be critical, obviously, for our crop and others to have multiple ways to move the crop. You know, we tend to grow the crop in areas that doesn't always have the readiest facilities, and competition's a good thing. As you mentioned, in terms of that facility and others, not only in Texas, but my hope is in Kansas that we might get to a point where we can have some terminal or some container loading facilities, some transloading facilities that can continue to give farmers other options to get the grain out of the state and the country.
We're talking with Jesse McCurry, who is Executive Director of Kansas Sorghum. Let's take a break and come back with more in just a moment.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
And joining us is Jesse McCurry, who is Executive Director of Kansas Sorghum. And Jesse, we also want to kind of get an update. I think last time you were on, you were just appointed to a special EPA committee on the farm branches and the rural communities, and as a representative, not only for Kansas, but also for the sorghum industry. So give us an update on what's going on there.
Yeah, thanks. That's an interesting committee. It's got a great group of people on it. This is a federal advisory committee that many federal agencies have. This particular one was resurrected and restarted. Farm Ranch Rural Communities Advisory Committee has a lot of folks from across the country involved in livestock and grains and other groups, stakeholders involved in these questions. And I think our first question was, well, what is our charge? What do they want us to do? And I can tell you now what they want us to do. And the first one is to provide some recommendations creating a holistic pesticide program for the future. EPA seems to, and I believe, recognizes innovation and the need for tools for farmers, but at the same time, there's some questions about how can they build more trust and help consumers understand and allay their fears on new innovations based on some of the information. The second one is water quality and water quantity, and that seems perfect in terms of the role of that agency, but also the things that all the states and stakeholders touch. And so we're going to look at how we can advise some recommendations there. The third one is interesting. It's about food loss and waste. And so, to be honest, most of the committee's probably a little bit more experienced or keen on the pesticide part of it and on the water part of it, but also given the amount of food, frankly, that we tend to leave out there, how can we advise them on those questions? We did talk to the administrator. He zoomed in. We got to ask him direct questions, and he seems to take these charges seriously because they're embedded in his own charge to the agency.
Well, Jesse, while you're talking at the EPA, let's do a little sidestep. And as you and I are talking right now, we're continuing to learn more of the recent announcement by EPA that those small refiner exemptions were not going to be approved, which is good news for sorghum and corn-based ethanol, which is another big shot in the arm for Kansas.
Yes, sir. The other Kansan that's on the committee is Bill Proct from East Kansas Agri-Energy, and we were both chomping at the bit to directly ask the administrator on that question. And luckily, you're right, and it seems to be a serious move, and finally in concrete, the fact that they're going to not go along with some of these previous waivers for gap years. And also the president mentioned the ability to move more E15 through current existing E10 infrastructure, which is a no-brainer. So it's been a very positive week in terms of ethanol.
Well, Jesse, if folks want to learn more about what goes on with the Kansas sorghum, not only the Producer Association, but also the checkoff, how can they do that?
Come see us at www.ksgrainsorghum.org. We certainly have a lot of information there, and also a need for candidates for the western tier of Kansas, which is the heart of the sorghum country and the world, frankly. So www.ksgrainsorghum.org.
Jesse, we appreciate the update, the time to talk with us. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Jesse McCurry, Executive Director of Kansas Grain Sorghum, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
These days, no one can afford to take the risk of being without financial protection against high health care costs, not even for a few days. Kansas Farm Bureau health plans offer short-term health care coverage to fill in those temporary gaps. Short-term health plans can provide you with medical coverage when you are between health plans, helping lower your potential financial risk. Learn more at kfbhealthplans.com or contact a Farm Bureau financial services agent near you.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
Soybeans can be utilized for a variety of different applications. This is due to the many uses of a bean's components. As reported by the U.S. Soybean Export Council, the composition of a soybean is 36% protein, 19% oil, 19% insoluble carbohydrates, 13% moisture, 9% soluble carbohydrates, and 4% ash. Of this, the main two components are the protein and the oil. According to Oilseed and Grain News, 85% of the world's soybeans are processed or crushed annually into soybean meal and oil. When a soybean is crushed, the hull is removed and the oil and the protein are extracted. Some soybean oil is then degummed, which removes the lecithin, and that oil is then further processed. The United Soybean Board reported that 68% of the soybean oil is consumed as edible oil. 25% is used for biodiesel and bioheat, while 7% is utilized within industrial products such as fatty acid and soaps. On the other hand, the soybean meal is developed into protein for animals and a small percentage for people. According to Michigan State University Extension, 98% of soybean meal is used for animal agriculture, while only 1% is used for human consumption. In addition to soybeans being used as a food source, there are many other product opportunities for the commodity. From biodiesel to crayons, soybeans have been repurposed to fill a wide range of needs, which allows a greater market for soybean farmers.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Kansas communities have been affected by a variety of natural disasters in recent years, from drought to flooding to wildfires. During any disaster situation, the Emergency Management Program at the Kansas Department of Agriculture is focused on the potential impact to the state's agricultural industry and, in turn, to the state's food supply and economic stability. September is Emergency Preparedness Month in Kansas, and KDA has joined the Kansas Division of Emergency Management and other emergency management response organizations in educational efforts to remind all Kansans about the importance of disaster emergency preparedness. Emergency management means preparation for disasters, as well as management throughout the event to mitigate impacts. Programs across KDA, from animal health to food safety to plant health, work to ensure the security and protection of the food and agriculture sector in Kansas, and that includes regular training programs and exercises of responses to various potential emergency events. The KDA Incident Management Team consists of veterinarians, food safety inspectors, laboratory personnel, administrative professionals, plant pathologists, and a wide variety of other titles spread across the agency, including myself as the Communications Director. Team members have taken advanced all hazards incident management system training, and many have taken position-specific training. Kansans can all participate in these efforts to prepare our state for potential emergencies, by preparing our own homes, farms, or businesses for potential disasters. There are great resources available for preparing for emergency situations, like at prep4agthreats.org, which is specific to agriculture. And both KDA and the Kansas Division of Emergency Management are sharing helpful information on Facebook and Twitter throughout September in recognition of Emergency Preparedness Month.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
At Farm Credit, we partner with America's farmers who work hard each and every day to grow the food that we all enjoy. It's not an easy task, but it's an important one. Farm Credit is proud to work with farmers and ranchers, lending support in rural America.
July exports of U.S. beef rebounded from recent lows but remained below 2019 levels, according to data released by USDA and compiled by the U.S. Meat Export Federation. U.S. pork exports, which are on a record pace in 2020, also were down from a year ago in July, but increased compared to June. Beef exports for July totaled 107,298 metric tons, up 38% from June, but still 9% below last year. Export value was $647.8 million, the highest since March, but down 10% from a year ago. July exports to China increased sharply year over year, and shipments trended higher to Taiwan, Canada, and Hong Kong. Exports were lower than a year ago to Japan and South Korea and declined significantly to Mexico. July pork exports totaled 222,035 metric tons, down 5% from a year ago, while export value fell 12% to $548.3 million. Exports increased year over year to Hong Kong, Canada, the Philippines, Vietnam, and the Caribbean. Exports to Mexico remained below last year but were the largest since March. Shipments to Japan also were down from a year ago but the largest since April. According to USMEF, when combined with the rebound in other main markets, growth in emerging markets, and the return of the U.S. supply advantage, there is reason to remain optimistic about the strong finish for U.S. red meat exports in 2020.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need. From prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Good morning. I'm Darren Van Vactor with Pinion, a division of Coe Isom. Wow, after a mostly lackluster year, the grain markets, specifically beans, have been on fire. Beans have broken all daily chart resistance levels, a lot of weekly levels, and they pushed through and closed above $10 for the first time in over 2 years. Weather concerns and consistent exports with an emphasis on Chinese buyers have really gotten folks excited. The funds included as their net long position near 200,000 on the week. Corn has continued to grind higher following beans. While corn does not have near the bullish story as beans, we'll take a win when we can get one. Corn is pressuring some major resistance levels on the week and seems content to grind sideways to higher. Old crop KC wheat, lacking a major story of its own, has hung in around between the 100-day and 200-day moving averages for the last several weeks. New crop 2021 KC wheat has been about a dime on both sides of $5. Similarly range bound itself. Over the last 30 days, fall crop futures have conveniently pushed to the highest levels since the crop was planted this spring, and basis levels have remained somewhat firm. As a producer, we also now have a better idea of what production looks like. Prior to heading to the fields, it's prudent to take a good hard look at the bottom line. You're going to get very, very busy, and you likely don't want to miss out on an opportunity. If you want some help, give us a call here at Pinion, 888-452-8751. I'm Darren Van Vactor. Be safe and have a great week.
Well, that's our show this week. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, you can email me, Ken at agview.net. I'm Ken Rahjes. Join us next week for Authentic Ag.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need. From prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.